All right, strap yourselves in because today we are going deep into crypto.
Crypto.
You're interested in this whole Internet of Money thing. Everyone
Yeah.
keeps bringing it up. It's
Yeah.
kind of like how email
Uh,
changed the way we send letters.
Yeah.
This could be
Huge. Yeah,
massive.
for sure.
So we got a ton of cool stuff to get through.
Okay.
We've got some excerpts from John Cousins'
Uh-huh.
ebook on crypto,
Yeah.
plus a little bit of background on the guy himself.
Okay.
What's really interesting is this is not just some
Right.
tech bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is somebody who's been in traditional finance for decades.
For a long time, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
IPOs,
IPOs?
CFO gigs,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards.
Uh-huh.
But get this, he also jumped headfirst into crypto
Wow.
as an early investor.
Really?
So talk about bridging two worlds.
Yeah. He's definitely got a unique perspective. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
So he makes this really interesting comparison in his book.
Okay.
He says,
Okay.
blockchain's impact could be as big as the Renaissance.
As big as the Renaissance.
Whoa.
I know.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel.
Right.
What does that have to do with Bitcoin?
Well, it all comes down to accounting.
Accounts.
Surprisingly enough,
Okay.
Cousins argues that the invention of double-entry bookkeeping back in the 14th century
Huh.
was a game changer.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Before that,
Yeah.
there wasn't a reliable way to track transactions,
Right.
which made trade and finance super risky.
Makes sense.
Double-entry bookkeeping brought transparency and accountability,
Yeah.
which were essential for the economic boom of the Renaissance.
Okay.
No.
So I'm starting to see where he's going with this.
Okay.
So is he saying
Yeah,
that blockchain is like a digital version of double entry bookkeeping,
that's it.
creating this whole new level of trust and transparency?
Exactly.
Okay.
Blockchain at its core is a distributed ledger.
Uh-huh.
It's a record of transactions that's replicated across a whole network of computers.
Okay.
This makes it virtually impossible to tamper with,
Right.
which builds trust in a way that traditional systems just can't match.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah,
is he basically saying
he is.
that blockchain could be the foundation for this new era of innovation,
Like the Renaissance.
just like double entry bookkeeping was for the Renaissance?
That's his argument.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is a pretty bold claim.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to solving a fundamental problem, trust.
Okay.
Or rather, the lack of trust in centralized systems.
Right.
Think back to the 2008 financial crisis.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people saw that as a failure of centralized trust,
Right.
where a few big institutions held all the power
Yeah.
and ended up making some pretty reckless bets.
Yeah, I remember that time.
You and me both.
It felt like the whole system could collapse overnight.
It really did.
So is blockchain like a response to that?
In a way, yes.
The way to rebuild trust, but in a more distributed way?
That's the idea.
Okay.
Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious creator of Bitcoin,
Yeah.
envisioned a system where you didn't need to rely on big banks or governments to handle your money.
Right.
Instead, you could transfer value directly to anyone, anywhere in the world,
Right.
with transparency and security built into the code itself.
Okay, so instead of putting our faith in these institutions that might be too big to fail,
Right.
we're putting our trust in this decentralized network.
Exactly.
But how does that actually work in practice?
Well-
What makes Bitcoin the first cryptocurrency so
Yeah.
special?
Well, Bitcoin is often compared to digital gold.
Oh.
And for good reason.
Okay.
It shares some key characteristics with gold.
Okay.
It's scarce,
Uh.
with a limited supply of 21 million coins ever to be mined.
Right.
It's divisible,
Okay.
so you can trade small fractions of a Bitcoin.
Right.
And it's decentralized, meaning no single entity controls it.
That scarcity thing is interesting. It's like those limited edition sneakers
Yeah.
everyone's always chasing after.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that there's a finite amount of Bitcoin out there must drive up its value, right?
In theory, yes.
But some argue that Bitcoin's price
Yeah, it's true.
swings all over the place, which doesn't sound very gold-like to me.
Right.
How do you respond to that?
It's true that Bitcoin's price has been very volatile,
Mm-hmm.
especially compared to gold,
Yeah.
which has been a relatively stable store of value for centuries.
Right.
But Bitcoin is still a very young asset,
Uh-huh.
and the market is still figuring out how to value it.
Okay.
Plus, there's a lot of speculation driving those price swings,
Uh-huh.
which can amplify the volatility.
Okay, so is it digital gold or a risky tech stock?
It's a good question.
I guess it depends on who you ask.
It does.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was just the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
There's this whole universe of other cryptocurrencies out there, right?
There is.
Whole galaxy.
The altcoin universe.
Yeah, but with so many different options.
So many.
How do we know which ones are even worth paying attention to?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
What separates the contenders from the pretenders?
Utility.
Utility.
Remember, these tokens aren't just digital beanie babies to collect.
Right.
They're meant to have real-world applications.
Okay.
The most successful crypto projects are the ones that solve real problems
Bah.
and create value beyond just speculation.
So it's not just about the price of a token.
No.
It's about what that token actually does.
Exactly.
It's like investing in a company.
It is.
You wouldn't just look at the stock price.
Right.
You would want to understand the company's business model and its potential for growth.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's where things get really interesting, because we're starting to see blockchain technology being used to build all sorts of innovative applications from decentralized finance platforms to supply chain management systems to new ways to create and own digital art.
Wow.
It's like the early days of the internet,
right,
where people were just starting to explore all the possibilities of this new technology.
That's a great analogy.
It is.
And speaking of exciting possibilities,
yeah,
Ethereum has to be the next big stop.
Has to be.
On our crypto tour, right?
Absolutely.
I've heard a lot about smart contracts.
They're contracts.
And how they're changing the game.
Yeah, they are.
Bring on the mind-blowing details.
Well, Ethereum is more than just a cryptocurrency.
Go on.
It's a platform for building decentralized applications.
And
smart contracts are a key part of that platform.
Right.
They're basically self-executing agreements that are written in code and stored on the blockchain. This means they can be automated and enforced without the need for any intermediaries.
So instead of relying on lawyers and banks to handle contracts, we can just let the code do its thing.
Let the code do its thing.
That sounds pretty revolutionary.
It's a big deal.
Can you give us a real-world example of how smart contracts are being used?
Sure.
Okay.
Imagine you're dealing with an insurance claim.
Okay.
Traditionally, you'd have to file paperwork.
Right.
Wait for weeks or even months for approval.
Yeah.
And hope that the insurance company doesn't try to deny your claim.
Yeah. Nobody wants to deal with that.
But with a smart contract, the entire process can be automated.
Okay.
The conditions for payout are written into the code.
Okay.
And once those conditions are met, say a flight is delayed or a shipment is lost, the payout is triggered automatically.
Whoa.
No human intervention needed.
That would take all the headache out of dealing with insurance.
Yeah.
I can see why people are so excited about this technology.
Yeah, it has a lot of potential.
But I've also heard that Ethereum has this crazy feature.
It does.
Called being Turing complete.
Turing complete.
What does that even mean?
It means that in theory, Ethereum can run any program that a regular computer can run.
Whoa.
It's like having a world computer.
Whoa.
But instead of being owned by one company,
Right.
it's owned by everyone on the network.
Cool.
That opens up a whole world of possibilities for building decentralized applications that we can't even imagine yet.
Okay. That is pretty mind-blowing.
It is pretty amazing.
It's like the Wild West of technology out there.
It is.
Anything is possible.
It seems like it.
But
yeah,
I'm guessing there are some challenges too. Right?
Yeah, there are always challenges.
I mean, this is all still pretty new and uncharted territory.
It is early days.
Yeah.
You're right.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
It really feels like we're at the beginning of something big here.
It does.
Like standing on the edge of a whole new frontier.
Yeah.
But how do we actually get there?
How do we get there?
What are the nuts and bolts of making this decentralized future
reality? One of the key pieces of the puzzle is how new cryptocurrencies are created.
Right.
It's a process called mining.
Mining.
It's basically a race to solve complex mathematical problems using powerful computers.
Okay.
The first miner to crack the code gets rewarded with newly minted coins.
So it's kind of like a digital gold rush.
Yeah, you could say that.
But instead of panning for gold,
we're
crunching numbers.
Yeah, we're crunching numbers.
That sounds pretty intense.
It can be.
But why go through all that trouble?
Well, why go through all that trouble?
What's the purpose of mining?
Well, mining serves a couple of crucial purposes.
Okay.
First, it's how new coins are introduced into circulation. Okay. Second, and perhaps more importantly,
Okay.
it helps secure the network.
Okay.
Since miners are competing to validate transactions and add them to the blockchain,
Right.
it becomes extremely difficult for any single entity to manipulate the system or double spend coins.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like having a decentralized security phase.
Yeah, like a decentralized security.
Constantly monitoring the network.
Exactly.
But I've also heard that mining can be pretty energy intensive.
It is.
Right?
It can be very energy intensive.
Doesn't that raise some concerns about its environmental impact?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
The computational power required for mining does consume a lot of energy, which often comes from fossil fuels.
Right.
However, there's a growing movement towards more sustainable mining practices. Using renewable energy sources like solar and wind power.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Seems like sustainability is
It's a big topic.
big theme in the crypto world.
It is.
Especially with these newer blockchains like Ethereum moving away from this energy-intensive proof-of-work model.
Proof of work, yeah. So Ethereum is transitioning to a different consensus mechanism called proof of stake.
Proof of stake.
Instead of miners competing to solve complex problems, they validate transactions based on the amount of cryptocurrency they hold and are willing to stake as collateral.
So the more coins you stake,
the more influence you have.
The more influence you have in the network.
In the network, yeah.
It's like a digital democracy.
It's like a digital democracy.
Where your vote is weighted by your stake.
Exactly.
But isn't that giving a lot of power to people who already hold a lot of crypto?
That is a concern that some people have.
Right.
They worry that it could lead to a concentration of wealth and control.
Right.
But proponents of proof of stake argue that it's actually more democratic than proof of work.
Right.
Because it doesn't require expensive, specialized hardware to participate.
Right.
Anyone can stake their coins and earn rewards regardless of their technical expertise or financial resources.
That makes sense?
Yeah. It lowers the barrier to entry and opens up participation to a wider range of people.
Like leveling the playing field.
Exactly.
Which aligns with this whole decentralized ethos of crypto.
Right. It aligns with the whole ethos of crypto. And it's not just about consensus mechanisms and technical details. The real power of blockchain lies in its potential to reshape how we organize ourselves as a society. Cousins talks a lot about this in his book. He argues that blockchain can empower individuals and create more equitable systems.
That sounds intriguing.
It is.
But I'm having trouble wrapping my head around it.
I understand.
Can you give us an example of how blockchain could lead to a more equitable society?
Sure. Think about traditional financial systems. They often exclude people who don't have access to bank accounts or credit scores. But with blockchain, anyone with a smartphone can participate in the global economy, regardless of their background or location.
So it's like giving everyone a financial passport.
Yeah, like a financial passport.
Regardless of where they were born or their economic status.
Exactly.
That's a powerful idea.
It is a powerful idea.
But it's not just about money, right?
No, it's not just about money.
What are some other areas where blockchain could make a difference?
The possibilities are endless.
Okay.
For instance, blockchain could revolutionize voting systems.
Okay.
Imagine a world where every vote is securely recorded and verifiable, eliminating the risk of fraud or manipulation.
That would certainly boost trust in our democratic processes.
It would.
And I've also heard about blockchain being used to track supply chains.
Yes.
Ensuring the ethical sourcing of products.
Absolutely. By creating a transparent and immutable record of every step in the supply chain, from raw materials to finished products, consumers can make informed choices and hold companies accountable for their practices.
It's like giving consumers a superpower.
It is.
The power to see behind the curtain and make decisions aligned with their values.
Exactly.
But let's be honest. There are also a lot of scams.
Yeah.
And shady practices in the crypto world.
Unfortunately, there are.
How do we navigate those risks?
And
make sure we're investing in legitimate projects.
That's where critical thinking comes in.
Okay.
Just like with any investment, it's crucial to do your research, understand the technology, and evaluate the team behind the project.
Okay.
Look for projects that are solving real problems, have a clear roadmap, and a strong community of supporters.
So it's all about separating the hype from the substance.
The hype from the substance.
The signal from the noise.
To signal from the noise.
And I guess a healthy dose of skepticism never hurts.
A healthy dose of skepticism never hurts.
But even with all the risks and challenges, there's something undeniably exciting about this space.
There is.
It feels like we're witnessing the birth of something truly transformative.
It does feel that way.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so compelling.
Right.
We're not just talking about a new technology here. We're talking about a new way of thinking, a new way of organizing ourselves, a new way of interacting with the world.
It's like stepping into a whole new dimension.
It is.
Where the rules are still being written.
Where the rules are still being written.
And that can be both exhilarating and a little bit scary.
Exhilarating and a little bit scary at the same time.
Right.
But remember, this is still early days. The crypto ecosystem is constantly evolving with new innovations emerging all the time.
Yeah.
It's a journey of discovery.
We're all learning together as we go.
And speaking of journeys, Cousins mentions this concept of Web3 in his book, which sounds like a whole other level of mind-blowing potential.
It does.
What is Web3 all about?
Yeah. What is Web3?
And how does it fit into this crypto revolution?
Web3 is often described as the next evolution of the internet.
Okay.
It's a vision of a more decentralized web powered by blockchain technology.
Okay.
Where users have greater control over their data, their identity, and their online experience.
So instead of our data being controlled by giant corporations like Facebook and Google, we would own it and decide how it's used.
That's the idea.
That sounds like a pretty radical shift.
It is a pretty radical shift.
But how would that actually work in practice?
Well, imagine a world where you can log in to any website or app using your crypto wallet, which acts as your digital identity.
Instead of relying on centralized platforms to store and manage your data, you could store it securely on the blockchain, giving you complete control over who has access to it.
That sounds like a huge step towards online privacy and data security.
It would be a big step.
But what about all the content and services we currently use? Would we still have access to things like
we still have
social media, streaming platforms,
Netflix,
and online marketplaces in a Web3 world?
Yes. The difference is that these platforms would be built on decentralized protocols, owned and governed by their users rather than by centralized corporations.
So instead of Facebook deciding what we can and can't say, or YouTube censoring certain content,
exactly,
it would be up to the community to set the rules.
That's the idea.
It sounds like a more democratic and transparent way to run the internet.
It does sound more democratic and transparent.
Exactly. And it's not just about
control and
ownership.
Web3
also opens up new possibilities for creators and entrepreneurs.
Absolutely.
Imagine a world where you can monetize your content directly. Without relying on platforms that take a huge cut of your earnings.
That would be a game changer.
That would be a game changer
for creators of all kinds.
Artists, musicians, writers, anyone who creates digital content.
Absolutely.
But with all these amazing possibilities, there must be some pretty big challenges too, right?
Of course.
I mean, it sounds like rebuilding the internet from the ground up.
It is a massive undertaking, no doubt about it. And there are many technical, social, and economic hurdles to overcome. But that's what makes it so exciting. We're at the very beginning of this journey. And there's a sense of possibility and optimism that's contagious.
It really feels like we're on the cusp of something truly historic.
It does.
But with so much happening so fast, it's easy to get lost in the noise.
It's easy to get lost in the noise.
What are some key takeaways?
What are some
that our listeners should keep in mind as they continue to explore this world of crypto and Web3?
Good question.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It is.
I'm already feeling like I need to upgrade my brain just to keep up with all this.
I know, right?
But if I had to boil it down, what's the most important thing for our listeners to remember as they navigate this wild world of crypto?
I think the key takeaway is this. Blockchain technology is not just a fad. It's a fundamental innovation with the potential to transform every aspect of our lives, from how we manage our money to how we interact with each other online.
So it's like we're laying the foundation.
We're laying the foundation
for a whole new digital infrastructure.
Digital infrastructure.
One that's
more transparent,
secure, and equitable than anything we've seen before.
Anything we've seen before, yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the values that underpin it.
Okay.
Decentralization, transparency, empowerment.
These
are the core principles that drive the crypto movement.
Okay, so it's like a social movement as much as a technological one.
It is.
It's about shifting power away from decentralized institutions.
Those centralized institutions.
And putting it back into the hands of individuals.
Yeah, giving power to the people.
And that's a powerful idea.
Powerful idea.
But it's important to remember
What?
that this is still a work in progress.
It's still early.
There are many challenges. To overcome.
Yes.
From scalability issues to regulatory hurdles to the risk of scams and bad actors.
Yeah, there are definitely risks.
So we need to approach this with a healthy dose of skepticism and critical thinking.
Critical thinking for sure.
Don't just jump into anything.
Don't just jump in.
Without do your research.
Yeah, do your research.
And understand the risks involved.
Understand the risk.
Right.
Don't get caught up in the hype or the FOMO, feared of missing out.
Right.
Take your time, learn as much as you can, and invest wisely.
And remember, this crypto world, is constantly evolving. What's true today might not be true tomorrow.
Yeah, things change quickly.
So stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay informed. Be willing to adapt. Exactly.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
Challenge assumptions and think for yourself. The beauty of this space is that it's open to everyone.
Right.
And there's always something new to learn.
It's like a giant collaborative experiment.
It is.
And we're all invited to participate.
We are.
And who knows, you might just stumble upon the next big thing that changes the world.
That's the exciting part. Speaking of changing the world,
yeah,
let's circle back to John Cousins' comparison of blockchain to the Renaissance.
Okay.
He argues that just as double-entry bookkeeping paved the way for a flourishing of art, science, and commerce, blockchain could unleash a wave of innovation that we can't even imagine yet.
It's like we're planting the seeds for a new renaissance. One that's powered by decentralization, collaboration, and human ingenuity.
Exactly.
And it all starts with
education.
Awareness, and a willingness to embrace new possibilities.
Yeah.
And more people.
The more people understand the potential of this technology, the more likely we are to create a future that benefits everyone.
And that's the goal.
So if you're listening to this and feeling inspired, don't just sit on the sidelines. Get involved.
Join the conversation, explore the technology, and find ways to contribute your unique skills and talents. Remember,
the future
is not something that happens to us. It's something we create together. And with blockchain technology as a tool. We have the power to build a more equitable, to build a more
transparent
and sustainable world for ourselves and future generations.
Equitable, transparent, and sustainable world.
So on that note, we'll leave you with one final thought to ponder. If blockchain is like the early internet, what are the killer apps that haven't been invented yet?
What are those killer apps?
What world-changing innovations are just waiting to be discovered?
Good question.
The answer to that question might be closer than you think.
It might be.
Keep exploring.
Keep
learning.
And
who knows, you might just be the one to build the next big thing in the crypto universe.
You might be.
Thanks for joining us.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, happy diving.
Happy diving.